welcome to episode 85 of Stitched in Sweden. I'm Maria and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Stitched in Sweden. We are here in our apartment in Stockholm. Thomas is working from home. He's been working from home for the past week or so, and I'm still on maternity leave, so not much has changed for me, but we are currently self-isolating just to try to minimize the spread of the coronavirus. Unfortunately, our trip to the US got canceled, which we are very sad about. We were going to spend all of April and the first week of May visiting with my family and friends in the US, but we will have to make that happen at a later date. So yeah, I thought I would just share what I've been working on to give you something to maybe enjoy and turn off the news for an hour or so. So yes, a couple of knitting and sewing projects, and I'll also talk to you a little about some other things that I've been doing around the house to keep busy and kind of welcome spring as well. So let's start with my first finished object. I finally have my own Oslo hat that fits very well. This is the third hat that I have in this yarn, or the third hat that I have knit in this yarn, but it is only the second finished one because I ripped out the second one that I knit. So I knit the size junior large, I think, and I decided it was way too small. Checked and it fit my friend, so I told her, I'll give this to you, let me first knit my hat and see if I have enough yarn, and without having to rip out her or the first one I made, and then I would give it to her. So what I decided to do was to make sure that I had enough yarn. I knit the inner cuff part here, which is like the from where you cast on, in a different color yarn, just to let the pink yarn go a bit further. And so my plan was then to knit one size larger. I knit the whole hat a second time. It got to the end and tried it on. I was like, this really feels just exactly the same as the other hat. Counted my stitches and I had knit the same size again. So clearly my brain was not there when I was casting on. So then I recast on the next size up, and here we have my final hat. It fits really well. I'll try it on. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think that it looks nice with my hair. I think that I often look strange in hats and I don't particularly enjoy wearing them, but this one feels like it has the right amount of negative ease, and yes, it's gonna squish my curls, but I think I mentioned last time, most of the time when I'm wearing a hat, it's to run to the grocery store on the weekend and I haven't fixed my hair and it's a mess anyway, so I just need a hat. But yeah, really happy with how it turned out. So this is the Oslo hat mohair edition, which is a pattern from Petite Knit, and I knit this in Hey Sister Yarn Co. Perfectly Pink on their pure base and fluff mohair. I also knit another Oslo hat for my sister-in-law, and that was in navy blue Arwetta yarn held double, but I have since given that to her, and so I don't have it here with me. I'll stick with knitting for now. I have two other works in progress. I I'm holding them both in my Rifle Paper Co. bag from This Handmade Life, and I decided to pick up this cardigan again. I'm working on this, it's the Playdate cardigan pattern from TINCANKNITS. I'm doing a striped version. I saw a Ravelry project that somebody had done using this striped pattern for this project, even though the original cardigan is just knit all in one color. So I decided to do that as well. I'm knitting the size 1 to 2 years. And I had put this down for a little while, but now I have picked it back up, and I was just wanting something colorful and fun to work on. So I've done these last, this bright yellow stripe. These 4 top stripes I've done the past couple days. Yeah, it's knit back and forth, and there are a ton of ends to weave in. Here's a nice side that's all woven in and finished, and here are some of the ends just from the last couple of rows, but you can see how many it accumulates really fast. So I try to knit a couple rows and then weave in the ends so that it stays neat and isn't totally overwhelming to work on. So I just have, I think, maybe 2 more stripes before I'm going to attach the shoulders and then pick up for the sleeves. I'm tempted to just do the sleeves in one solid color, like this gray color that I did for the ribbing, but I've come this far that I think really I should just continue with the stripes because, yeah, it'll be really cute. So I'm knitting size 1 to 2 years, so my hope is that it will fit her in this winter and the upcoming winter, and that gives me some more time to finish it as well. The other knitting project that I am working on is actually a pattern from Olivia at This Handmade Life. It's her newest sock pattern, and it's called Along the Garden Path. It's a really, this is the pattern. I don't think you can see that. Along the Garden Path, that's the front page. It's a really nice pattern. I have knit the first, I have some of the yarn from the, it's tangled in my project, some scrap yarn from the little cardigan. So I have knit almost the first sock. I cast this on basically right when I saw her that she had released the pattern. And here it is. I am doing the version where you do repeat the pattern on the front and the back of the sock for the leg. I am knitting this on my Haya regular fixed circulars, not the sharps. The sharps in the small size are too sharp for me. This is a US size 0 2mm needle, and I'm knitting it in some dandelion yarns that I have in the Katie Fingering in the color Morning Fog. This is a 75% certified organic merino, 25% nylon, and I had 2 50-gram skeins that were ever so slightly different that I originally had planned to make a small colorwork sweater with the other dandelion yarns, Katie Fingering, that I had. I had a 50-gram skein that I used for the little lace leggings that I made for Eloise that I showed you recently. So I had planned to use this gray as like the main body color of the sweater and then do some color work in that purple. But I think actually socks is a really good idea for this because the 50-gram skeins were ever so slightly different in color, and with a pair of socks you won't notice. Whereas for a cardigan I would have, or a sweater, I would have had to alternate skeins, and yeah, it worked out. I'm really enjoying using yarn that I have in my stash, and just working on projects that I had planned, I was excited about. Okay, not this one, because this one is a brand new pattern, but the yarn anyway, I was excited about it when I bought it, and then it has sat in my stash for a good 2 years probably. So it's nice to pick it up now and find something inspiring to work on with it. So I'm knitting the medium-sized sock. There's 3 different sizes in the pattern. Yeah. So maybe I'll just show you, this might be a little bit fun, what's in my knitting bag usually. So I don't have a separate notions bag, I just have all my notions kind of in the bottom of my bag. I have some, yeah, kind of random things in here and some normal things. I have my rose gold measuring tape that I enjoy using. I have a couple of stitch markers here in a little silver tin. I have my darning needles in this little wooden tube. I really like this little tube. I keep my needles in there so that I always know where they are. I have a lavender chapstick. This is from Spinster Sisters and Company, and this is a company from Golden, Colorado, which is really close to my hometown of Boulder. I have tried the lavender and the peppermint, and I really like them both. Then I have my rose gold stork scissors that came in my advent calendar last year from Thomas. Really like these, they're nice and sharp. I have a regular black pen, and then I have my hand sanitizer, which I bought before the Corona situation. It's still in my knitting bag from when we took the train up north for a 7-hour train ride, and yeah, I just wanted to have that. And then I have some nipple butter, which is no longer used for my nipples, but this is, so that's kind of weird, but this is a really moisturizing, yeah, buttery lotion that I really like using in the winter when my hands are super dry. It's really nice and moisturizing. It's a little bit on the oily side, but it absorbs pretty quickly, so I just keep that in my knitting bag. So hopefully that is interesting. That is just what I have in there regularly. I also have often have the tag of the yarn that I'm working with, and then of course my projects. And this just sits out on the couch most of the day, most of the time. All right, so that's really it for knitting. I have some sewing projects and one other project that I have been working on. So as part of kind of a spring refresh revival, yesterday I decided to repot some of the plants that we have in the house. My huge monstera there needed a new pot. It's needed a new pot for a really long time, and finally did that last night. I gave it some new soil, which I'm sure it will appreciate. I have another little mini monstera over there that's, I think it's called a monkey face monstera. I have a couple of other plants around the house that I've probably included in the first part of this video. And one of them is a little zebra plant that I got the other day, which is currently in a hanging pot that I got from a store here. It's hanging from some kind of like a burlap rope. I don't know what that kind of rope is called, but kind of like a rough twine. And I don't mind the twine itself, but the pot has always hung crooked and it kind of drives me crazy. So I made a macrame hanger from this book, from this making magazine. This is making number 7, which is Desert. And there's a pattern in here for this macrame hanger. The pattern is called the Macrame Plant Hanger. It's by Lauren Patterson. And I'll just show you the hanger itself. There it is. It has nice detailed instructions. I had never really done macrame before. Here's another picture of the plant hanger. So you have some visuals here on how to do the knots. And I made a plant hanger, I think it was last summer, for another plant in the house. And so I decided I'm going to cut off these ropes that are holding this other planter and instead just make another macrame hanger for it. So I'm really close to being finished with this. There's some square knots here, and then a spiral knot section, some more square knots, and then it will actually build the part that's gonna hold the pot in it. I'm doing exactly the same pattern as I did before, and it's really quick. This is something that I can do while she's sleeping in here. I can't sew while she's sleeping because it's too loud, but I can trace patterns, cut out fabric, work on this, so knit also. So I try to have a variety of things that I can do while she is napping. She sleeps really well in her crib during the night, but it is still really hard to get her to sleep somewhere else during the day. So for now she gets to sleep right here. In case you're wondering, this is a Solly wrap. Some people asked me last time, and since now this is my daily wardrobe, you'll be seeing me with it a lot. So let's talk about some sewing projects. My sewing projects have all been for Eloise, and they are in various stages of being finished. I have 2 that are finished. So I made the let's see what it's called. I have a lot of my kid sewing patterns out at the moment because I was reorganizing them. Which one is this? Okay, this is, so what I have here is, for each pattern, I like to have them in an envelope. I have the pattern company name, so this is pattern by Brindille and Twig. The pattern name, it's number 40, the wrap bodysuit, and then I have written which sizes I currently have traced. So I have the 3 to 6 month and the 6 to 9 month traced and in here. So that way when I'm going back through and looking for a pattern, I know if I'm gonna need to trace it, so I don't have to look through all of the traced pieces and try to figure out what size it is. So I sewed 2 different versions of the wrap bodysuit. I have this one here, which is in a fabric from Stuff and STIL. It's a new fabric for the spring, and I made a short sleeve version. That particular wrap bodysuit doesn't have a short sleeve line in the pattern, but it's really easy to just measure and make one. I finished the edges of the sleeves with a I just folded under the edge actually, and then I did a twin stitch hem there. oftentimes I'll actually just serge the edge of the fabric, fold it under, and then fold it under once, and then do a twin stitch. But this one I actually folded under twice for some reason. I don't remember why. So this is this little wrap bodysuit. The inside wrap is not snapped, so that's why it's falling, but there, you can see how it is. And this is in the, I think I made this one in the 6 to 9 month size so that it will fit her in the summer. Is the goal. And then I have another one here, also in a pattern, in a fabric from Stoff and STIL. This is a fabric that I got maybe in the fall or late summer last year, and she wore this one yesterday. This is size 3 to 6 months. She's 3 months old on Monday. She will be 3 months old, so I still had to roll up the sleeves on this one, and the body's a little bit big, but it's still perfectly wearable. But yeah, I just have this little floral print on there, and a little bit of ribbing for the cuffs, and also use that same ribbing for the binding, and I used a twin stitch to do the binding there. In the past, I've used my binding machine or my binding foot to do the binding for these kind of onesies. This time I just followed the instructions in the pattern from Brindille and Twig and did it with my serger and then a twin needle on my regular sewing machine. I really like using the binding foot, but honestly it takes a little while to get it set up, and you really want to have quite a few things to bind when you get it set up, because then your machine is set up in that way. So ideally you could have 2 machines, one that you could do the binding on with the binding foot set up on it, and one that you could do regular sewing on, but I don't have that. Or you just get all of your projects to the point that they all need the binding done, and then you could do it all at once. But I wasn't doing a ton of binding work this time like I did last time that I did a big batch of sewing of little kid clothes, so I felt like I would just do it with my serger and the twin needle without the binding foot this time, and it worked really well, in case you are curious. So then I have a couple more projects for her that are still in progress. So the one that's most close to being finished is this sweet little dress. And the only thing that this dress needs is some buttons. There's 2 buttons there, 2 buttonholes. I really like how they turned out, but honestly next time I might just do snaps, and maybe I could just leave them as just snaps. I kind of like the look of the buttons on this pattern, so I could do snaps behind the buttons and just sew the button on without doing a buttonhole, so it would be yeah, it would still be functional because the snaps would be there, but it wouldn't be the button itself that was functional. Anyway, this is the autumn dress pattern. This is a pattern from Lowland Kids, and I really like her patterns. I just bought a lot of them really recently. I got the autumn dress, which comes in sizes newborn to I think 9, 10 or something, which like for a 9-year-old or 10-year-old, with all the sizes in between. So really versatile pattern that will last a long time. There's a short sleeve and long sleeve version. It has little cuff sleeves. I use just the same, I just used the body fabric for the cuffs, but you could use a ribbing. I also used the regular fabric for the binding. I made a little binding for it. And what's really nice about jersey binding is that it doesn't need to be on the bias, so you are not using a ton of extra fabric to make the binding tape. You just do it on the grain line, so that, yeah, the grain line is like this, and then you have your long strip of binding so that it's stretchy that way. So this is kind of like a drop skirt dress. I don't know what, yeah. Anyway, the body's kind of long and then the dress part is shorter, which I think will be a really good style for a baby, because then most of her torso will be in this part, and then so it will still be nice and warm. She'll wear leggings under this likely, which will probably come up to here, so it'll be a good warm outfit still. I have this fabric. I really love this fabric. To me it looks like peonies, which are yeah, I would say my favorite flower. And this is a jersey from STOFF and STIL, also in their newest collection. I did the hem with a twin stitch there, and for this hem I just serged the edge and then folded it up once and then finished it with the twin needle, and I think that just makes a really nice clean finish. So I also have cut out 2 more versions of that dress. So in the next size up, which will fit her in the summer hopefully, in this fabric, which is from TYGDROMMAR, which is Swedish. I'll type it so you can see. This fabric, this is the skirt of the dress. Yes, I did this for 6 to 9 month size, and I did the short sleeve version of that, so hopefully that will be a nice little summer dress. And then for next fall winter, in the 9 to 12 month size, I cut a version with a black bodice that will have a striped little Henley button placket part, and then it will also have stripes for the bottom. So I'm really excited about this one because I think it's just super cute. Have a little munchkin who might be waking up. Nope. So those 2 are still cut out and ready to go. I purchased a few other of the Lowland Kids patterns. This is how I have some tracing paper, and I don't need to unravel this, it's very loud. Anyway, I trace the projects in, I trace the different sizes in different pen colors, so then when I'm cutting them out, I can keep the pieces organized, and it also makes it easier when I'm looking for the size in the folder afterwards. Yeah, makes it easier to spot the size directly. So I'll tell you the other patterns that I bought from Lowland Kids that I'm getting ready to make, yeah, as soon as possible. So I got the Jude romper, and I'm gonna make the short-sleeved long leg version for the summer, and then probably a long sleeve long pants version with a hood for next fall. I also got the autumn dress. We already talked about that. I got some shorts. They're called shorties. They're just a little pair of shorts that you can pair with a tank top pattern that they have to make a little romper, which I'm planning on making for the summer. Then I also got the Lowland Kids ruffle and peplum top that I think will also be super cute for the summer. And all of these come in really wide size ranges, so once you buy these patterns once, you can just make them over and over again in the different sizes, which I think is really nice. Then I don't have printed out yet. I also got the raglan PJ top, the PJ pants, and I think that's it. So really like her patterns. She has a nice Instagram if you want to check that out if you're interested in some baby patterns. I get most of my patterns from there or Brindille and Twig. I do have one other pattern that's from a German company. I'll have it written here on the screen for you. I don't recall what the pattern company is called off the top of my head or the name of the pattern, but yeah, I'll have it here for you. So this is an overall pattern, and I'm making the size 68-74, I think, which is basically like 3 to 9 months maybe. There's 2 different snap positions for this overalls, and you can roll up. The idea is that you roll up the cuffs so that you can extend the time that they're able to be worn for the size of the pattern. So I've made this pair, not quite done yet, but this striped version. Still need to attach the snaps and hem the bottom, and the lining, which is just lining the bib front and back, is the fabric that I used for that onesie. So I think those are pretty sweet. Eloise is ready to come out. So you can show you her pajamas actually that she's still wearing. These are the footy onesie, I think it's called, pattern from Brindille and Twig, and I've made her 3 in this current size that she's wearing and 1 like in a larger size. She wears these every night, and they just have, you know, these little footy part, and then it has snaps up the front. Okay, so I'll just show you the last pair of overalls that I'm making for her, actually in the same size as the other ones. Oh, these ones. And this fabric is from Stoff and STIL, also from their new collection. The bib part is lined in this striped, so are the shoulder straps, and I just think these are super cute. This particular version is going to have these little stripes as the cuffs for the legs, because well, that's one of the options for the pattern, is to have the little cuffs. So I didn't have enough fabric for, I think I had half a meter of this fabric, which meant that I couldn't do the full length for the hemmed version, but it's perfect because I can just do the cuffed version, and that will work out perfectly. So those are the projects that I've been working on. Yeah, I'm planning on doing a little bit more pattern tracing, cutting out some different sizes today, and maybe doing some sewing tonight and this weekend when Thomas is not working, and then I get my hands free for a bit more sewing time. But yeah. One thing I also wanted to mention is that I have an extra copy of this book with the Harry Potter knitting patterns book, and I think that it retails for about 200 Swedish crowns. So if you are interested and you are in Sweden for this book, I would sell it to you for 150 plus shipping in Sweden, so yeah, it should be just over 150. But if you're interested, just send me an email, maybe maria.monska@gmail.com, and then yeah, we can get that out to you. We have been, yeah, self-isolating by choice. Just to, yeah, try to minimize the spread and keep everyone healthy. So the only real difference is that Thomas is home all the time now, and that we don't go out to the grocery store that much. I don't go with her, Thomas goes by himself, and we go on little walks around the lake nearby, but we don't really take the train or anything at the moment. And we also don't visit with Thomas's family, which is sad, but we want them to stay healthy too. So, yeah, what have we been doing around the house? I've been baking a lot of sourdough bread. I use a recipe from The Perfect Loaf, which is a really intense blog about sourdough. I don't follow all the directions exactly, and my bread still turns out pretty good, so I'm okay with that. But he has it really down to every last, yeah, he has math equations in there for getting the temperature of the dough right and stuff, so I don't know. It's a little intense, but yeah, I'm happy with the loaf I'm getting, so that's what I care about. This morning I made a lemon poppy seed pound cake with a recipe from the New York Times cooking blog or website, and we're gonna have that this afternoon as a nice little Friday treat. And then what else? Oh yeah, so I repotted 6 of our houseplants yesterday, and I would like to repot 2 more. We have some rosemary that is out on our balcony that I kind of just left out there to die at the end of the summer last year, but it somehow has survived the whole winter, just, yeah, by itself without any care. So now I think I will replant it in a nice pot so that maybe it will survive a bit longer. And then I have my pilea. I've replanted one of my pilea plants, and I have one more that I would like to replant, but I'm not quite sure which pot I want to put it in, so I haven't done that yet. But it was quite the project yesterday, and I think that all my plants are going to be a bit happier now. You just want to chew on everything, don't you? So yeah, we are mostly just hanging out here and getting through. So I hope that we will be able to travel sometime sooner rather than later, because obviously I want to share this little girl with my family, but that's not an option at the moment, so we're just doing lots of video calls with them and yeah, sending pictures and that kind of thing. So I hope you are all well, and until next time, happy making. Bye.